What is going on, y'all? This is your boy, the Bengal Dragon. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons, as all your support really helps this legally blind YouTuber remain motivated to continue making many type of videos in this channel, and through the YouTube algorithm would really help this channel grow. Today, I'm gonna do something from Fallout New Vegas, and believe me, this is a very long time coming. Today, I'm gonna do a character analysis of the dog/god character from Fallout New Vegas's Dead Money DLC. To get a proper history of who this person is in terms of his classification as a nightkin, I invite you to watch this video by Synonymous, which is linked in the description below. However, my analysis is going to consider basically Fallouts 1, 2, 3, New Vegas, and 4. 76 and beyond are not going to be considered. So basically, a brief history. The Master from Fallout 1 used to capture people and basically dip them in FEV, in vats of the forced evolutionary virus. Once dipped, those with relatively pure, uncorrupted DNA became your Gen 1 super mutants. However, people infected with FEV who actually had corrupted DNA, basically corrupted by either the wasteland or being part of a vault where radiation still managed to seep in, or radiation was still part of the vault's interior environment, they ended up becoming your Gen 2 super mutants. It is suggested that the creation of the Gen 2 super mutants was actually more of an accident and did not completely involve a direct influence by the Master. The Gen 1 super mutants were more preferable to the Gen 2 super mutants, as the Gen 2 super mutants were relatively dumber. Just let Tabitha from Fallout New Vegas explain.
Welcome, Utopia, to another episode of Know Your Mutants. Today, we're proud to have best friend Tabitha with us. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Rhonda. You look good.
So what type of mutant did you want to talk about this time, best friend Tabitha?
I thought I'd briefly talk about first-generation super mutants, Rhonda.
Ooh, what can you tell us about them?
What we call the first generation of super mutants, Rhonda, were actually created by the Master himself. Like everything the Master took a direct hand in, they were better than the ones who came later. The ones made by accident. They were smarter, almost as smart as Nightkin, and were able to think and act for themselves.
You're listening to another edition of Know Your Mutants with best friend Tabitha. So, best friend Tabitha, who will we learn about today?
I guess it's time we talked about the Dum-Dums.
Oh, you mean the second generation super mutants who aren't so bright?
That's them. Dum-Dums. That is,
They're very big and strong.
Yes, they're just as big as other mutants and as strong as they look. Beyond that,
And there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, Dum-Dums are the most common type of mutant that most travelers will encounter, and make up more than half the mutants here in Utopia.
Best friend Tabitha, some of our listeners may wonder how you can call them Dum-Dums on the air like this.
That's a good question, Rhonda.
Thank you.
The truth is, they're so dumb, they don't even know that I'm talking about them right now.
The Master from Fallout 1 used to communicate with all super mutants using psychic abilities. So basically, the Master used to telepathically instruct the mutants on what to do. And that was one of the primary premises of Unity. However, there were a select group of Gen 1 super mutants who seemed to excel in their performance and duties given by the Master. Those super mutants were selected to be in an elite class called the Nightkin. These Nightkins were given stealth boys to carry out a diverse range of tasks for the Master. However, due to overuse of these stealth boys, adverse effects of prolonged use of stealth boys began to show within the Nightkin. Firstly, their skin turned blue. But more importantly, they seem to have developed some psychological conditions due to Stealth Boy overuse. Now it's to the point where they don't even like being seen by others. These conditions include schizophrenia, delusions, paranoia, and dissociative identity disorder. Generally, this manifests in the form of a nightkin hearing a second voice in their head. Furthermore, this second voice appears to be in a little bit of an authority figure. Lily from Jacobstown has Leo, who, according to Lily, tells her whom to chop. Davison from the Repcon test site has Antler, who, according to Davison, tells his group of nightkin what to do.
Who is Antler? Who is Antler? Antler, the human asks about you. What do I tell it? All right. Yes, of course. Who Antler is not important to you. Antler wants that you deal with me. Me? I am devoted to Antler. But before Antler? Captain once. Last name Davison. First name... don't remember. I commanded a troop of nightkin, the Master's elite. A great honor. Very proud. Something happened. We wandered the desert. Life without Master was hard. The others' minds going strange, going crazy. But then, I found us new Master. I found us Antler. Since then, everything's been going really well.
Tabitha has Rhonda, who, at first glance, might appear to be Tabitha's subordinate. But later on, we'll come to see that's not the case. And by the way, pay very close attention to the accents.
Welcome back, Utobitha. I have with me best friend Tabitha, who has something important she'd like to share.
Well, Rhonda, I'm a little concerned about the number of humans that keep coming to Black Mountain.
Humans? Here? Oh, why do you think they do that?
Honestly, I think they're a little jealous of the ideal society we've built here, Rhonda, and I can't blame them. We have everything we need here. Food, shelter, safety, entertainment. It really is a paradise.
There's no arguing with the truth, is there?
Did you notice the slightly British wannabe accent of Rhonda? This is because Rhonda is actually a Mr. Handy, and usually in New Vegas, the Mr. Handy robots have a little bit of a British accent. However, notice this clip.
Mistress Tabitha, we should be heading off. Our journey has been much delayed, but we can catch up if we hurry. Come along now.
Yes, Rhonda. I don't even remember where we were going. It'll be good to travel around with Rhonda again.
Observe, Tabitha is following Rhonda, not leading her. Which brings me to Dog/God. Now, Father Elijah calls him the FEV reject. All the other nightkin you see, I don't recall any of those nightkins saying that they have a conscience. But when you meet the God character for the first time, this is how he describes himself.
I'm the voice of reason. I sleep sometimes. Down in the basement, in the cage. Now that I'm awake, Dog goes back in the cage. Dog knows I'm here, but can't do anything about it. I'm his conscience. Keep him tame, keep him from hurting us, doing foolish things.
And if you have a medicine skill of 35 or higher, you can actually call out this multiple personality disorder. You have multiple personality disorder. Some trauma caused this?
Trauma. Yes, in a manner of speaking. Do you see these wounds of his covering his skin? The bear trap on his arm. He placed his own hand in it. The name he carved in his chest. To remind him of who he is, he inflicts pain on himself to silence me, when all I try to do He cuts, hurts, and tries to murder me out of him. He won't succeed, just makes me angrier. Dog is the beast. We simply change cages, like the ones here.
And by the way, do you remember all the things I mentioned about Claire Redfield's borderline split personality disorder? Whenever she's in a biohazard and a Steve memory trigger acts as a stimulus, this is where I first saw that type of behavior, Fallout New Vegas, and also saw what very good execution of this idea looks like. With this character, whenever it hears the stimulus of its master giving orders, dog comes out. And whenever master isn't around and dog is sleepy, or whenever it hears God giving orders, the dog character goes away and the God character surfaces. However, in the case of dog/God, both of these personalities are not that aware of each other. At least, dog is not aware of God as much as God is aware of dog. In fact, let's hear it in God's own words.
Dog and I don't share everything. What I know, he doesn't. What he knows, what little he knows, I don't. For example, your arrival is a surprise. I wished that I could have remembered. I'm sure Dog knew. And when he's feeding, well, I sometimes have to find out about it later.
Unlike Claire Redfield, where the two versions of Claire Redfield are aware of each other, but still exhibit strong behavior that suggests the starting phases of multiple personality disorder. And this mental state of mind of Claire is caused by trauma. Now let God explain why dog is the way he is.
Dog is slavish, was conditioned to serve the master until death.
Notice the word conditioned, and that is how dog behaves. Someone who is conditioned to respond to a particular type of stimulus with a response in a certain way. But we also notice when there is no external master giving orders, his own conscience becomes a master figure. And that conscience, the God, comes out. And the first thing the God character does is put dog in the cage. This explains why God says that dog is afraid of him as long as the master isn't around. And when there is an external stimulus of a master figure giving orders, dog comes out and puts God back in the cage.
Master makes the other voice go away. The other voice hates Master. Dog can feel it. Master's voice is like pain. Protects dog.
However, the God character, the conscience of this being, is very observant. And the thing that this God character hates the most, it is greed. Unnecessary greed. Obsessive greed. Whether it be greed for worldly possessions, greed for master's affection, etc., etc.
The old man obsessed with the Sierra Madre, riddled with greed. Hoped you might be him when I woke up. All you are is his hand. You're the same kind of greed. Dog's always nodding, always obeying him, because he's weak and hungry and greedy for master's affection.
However, God himself is victim of this greed. But his logic is that he is protecting dog as a result of his control. And that is why God is greedy about control. And if you played the game, you know that in some of the dialogues he has with you, he even tries to impose his control over you, the courier. God also generalizes his disdain of Father Elijah to other humans. This is because he saw victim after victim fall trapped to the Sierra Madre's beacon and realizes that instinct and curiosity took precedence in those people over rational thinking. He obviously compares this to dog being let out of the cage and his reasoning, conscience, and intelligence side being put back in the cage when the instinctual part is looking for something. And this line from Dog also highlights God's attitude towards Master. Can you tell me about the other voice inside you?
Don't know where other voice come from. Wish would go away. Always trying to stop Dog, caging Dog. Voice started talking not long ago, Dog think. Was always there. Start talking when Master showed up. Making Dog sleep, go to cage. Voice hates Master. It okay. Voice always hide when Master around. Go quiet. Watch Master as he does things. Voice scared of Master, Dog thinks.
The Master sounds like he treats you well.
Master always feed Dog if not in cage. Master lets Dog do what Dog wants. Not like other voice in cage. Always mad with Dog, shouting at him.
People, look at this and tell me that this isn't that little voice inside that sees that Dog is just being used to do bad things and is just being manipulated by the Master. And in real life, people, how many times did we see situations like these? There is something else that operates, and that is fear. Fear of the authority figure. Either fear of punishment or even fear of disapproval in Dog's case. And especially with children or child-minded individuals, how many times have we seen the fear of repercussions from an authority figure is used to reinforce some undesirable behavior? But back to God. He is always trying to protect Dog, but when Dog does not listen to God and listens to Master instead, it makes God angrier and angrier. Do you know anything else?
Dog might know more. You should ask him. Beware the answer. Because I think Dog got hungry. He couldn't help himself. I tried. I always try. And he keeps giving in.
But this line is very telling of God's disdain towards obsessive greed. Even at a psychological level, for which you need to pass a 65 speech check. Why did he put emphasis on the word master before?
The master, Elijah, reminds Dog of someone from long ago. His leader, commander, commanders. The master was a strong personality. Personalities as well. Dog is slavish, was conditioned to serve the master until death. The old man, Elijah, merely came along and opened that door in Dog's mind. Now, Dog does whatever the old man wants.
Sounds like it makes you mad.
Mad? Mad doesn't even begin to describe. There's not a word for the hate I feel inside. It's consuming, twists every thought to red. After all that's laid ruin to the world, again and again, I thought at last we could be free. Thought Dog could be free. No, the world's always got another cage, waiting, keeping everything you want just out of reach.
What does Elijah make Dog do that angers you so much?
Gather others, drag them here, fetch like an animal, and hurt them if they resist. Dog doesn't even blink. Even hear their cries when he's twisted their arms full circle. Fragile things, screaming on the ground. To listen to him, commanding Dog to hurt others. And Dog just nods, eager and willing to serve.
Can't you do anything?
Do anything? Me me Dog puts in the cage, hurts himself to try and drown out my voice, when all I want to do... Never mind. Useless. Finally had to start fighting back, screaming on my own. Had to take matters into my own hands. Lock Dog up.
But this line is also an example of God knowing what Dog is doing is wrong.
The instinct is stronger than me. Dog is stronger than me. He's just a child. He knows when he does wrong. He just can't help himself. I don't know when I first spoke, or when I first started thinking for myself. It was so long ago. I slept for a long time before. I want to believe I was the one in control once. I don't know anymore. Then Dog got a new master, a new voice, and I woke up to protect him.
This also indicates that God perhaps knows what Dog did as part of the original Master's army was also wrong. To me, this whole thing looks like this creature is actually starting to recover. Something we have not seen in other nightkin without intervention. His conscience was always there, but eventually his conscience or the God character had to start taking action in his own way. And how this is brought about is once again some great execution. You have to convince Dog that he is looking into water and what he sees is the other voice.
Dog can see the voice. Looks just like Dog. And Dog looks just like me. You've hurt yourself. Inside. Do you see now? See? In the water. Dog understands now. Dog knows what happened.
And Dog looks just like me. You've hurt yourself inside. This is some great storytelling. This tells you, on top of what we already know, that God knows he is part of Dog's psyche, but is still separated somehow from Dog due to trauma. But Dog thinks that God is a separate entity which assumes a master role when an external stimulus is not acting as a master. This is very similar to what we saw with Davison. When Davison says he found a new master in the form of Antler, and similar to Tabitha and Rhonda. In fact, if you go back and listen to Radio Free Utopia, you will notice that in the radio show, Rhonda is the host and Tabitha is the guest. And in a radio show, the host has always more authority, is the authority figure in the show. But with Dog, his own conscience started to act as the master figure whenever it got the chance. And this internal master figure is furious with Dog because Dog does bad things and God does not want Dog to do bad things. To expound on this a bit further, if you play the game, you will realize that Dog has the option to kill God. But God does not have the option to kill Dog when you finally confront the creature in the kitchen. This further emphasizes what God said earlier, that he cannot exist without Dog. But Dog can exist without God. And I'll just say this part, the final moments you hear Dog and God argue with each other. If I really had to break that down, I will have to make an entire separate video on how that is a look at someone's psyche who is going through mental issues, a mixture of depression, anger, and a desire to end it all as a means of escape from the constant internal conflict. That's a very different video, but to people who has gone through things and who play Dead Money and thoroughly interacted with Dog/God and explored all his dialogues, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. But to conclude, you as the courier have the option to merge both the personalities, the dog with its conscience, into someone who is not only somewhat new, but also as a nightkin has shown signs of mental recovery. On top of that, notice this nightkin hardly ever mentions stealth boys. So this nightkin is indeed very different from the others. Is that why Father Elijah called him an FEV reject? Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so very much for joining me. Guys, Fallout, yes, it can be very goofy at times, but from time to time, they get a lot of things right, man. Okay, and credit should be given where it is due and earned. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons. My next video will probably be Ethan Winters from Resident Evil, but I will have to think about that a bit more and basically do some analysis, because Ethan Winters is a character I know almost next to nothing about. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. This is your boy, the Bengal Dragon, signing out.